Did you know that the Roman Empire ruled 3 continents, included more than 40 countries, and occupied 2.5 million square miles? This empire wasn't just a political force, it shaped much of the world as we know it today. But how did such a strong empire fall apart? And was Christianity involved in any way? The Roman Empire was an ancient powerhouse with its heart in the city of Rome. It officially began in 27 BCE, rising from the ashes of the Roman Republic, and continued its reign until the fall of the Western Empire in the 5th century CE. The transition from the Roman Republic to the Roman Empire was marked by a chaotic period of civil wars in the 1st century BC. During this time, Julius Caesar grew to prominence, eventually taking control of Rome as its dictator. However, his reign was cut short when he was killed in 44 BCE. After Caesar's death, 3 men known as the Triumvirate assumed leadership: Mark Antony, Lepidus, and Caesar's nephew Octavian. However, Octavian and Antony's union was short-lived as they finally clashed in northern Africa. Augustus became the first emperor of Rome after Octavian emerged victorious in the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE. The empire entered a period of stability and tranquility during his 27 BCE 14 CE reign. Augustus created the Principate, a new system of governance that combined aspects of the previous republic with the customary authority of a monarchy. Although the Senate was still in session, Augustus, as princeps or first citizen, really controlled the government. Aware of the importance of securing a smooth transition of power, Augustus began contemplating his successor early on. However, his plans were repeatedly disrupted by untimely deaths. With no son of his own, Augustus saw his nephew Marcellus, son-in-law Agrippa, and grandsons Gaius and Lucius all pass away before him. Eventually, he settled on Tiberius, a member of the prestigious Claudia family, and formally adopted him as his son in 4 CE, ensuring the continuity of his rule. The first member of the Julio-Claudian dynasty to succeed Augustus was Tiberius, who ruled from 14 to 37 CE. He was regarded as a brutal tyrant, in addition to being a skilled administrator. Caligula, his great-nephew, followed, ruling from 37 to 41 CE. Caligula's brief reign was infamous for its opulence, brutal murders, and Senate humiliation. Claudius, who ruled from 41 to 54 CE, came after him. In addition to organizing the imperial bureaucracy and centralizing state finances, Claudius was also notorious for his brutal treatment of senators and equities. After assuming power from 54 to 68 CE, Nero first gave the administration to capable advisors but quickly showed himself to be a cruel tyrant. Nero was the first emperor to be subjected to damnatio memoriae, which means that his reign was formally erased from the records by command of the Senate. His misrule contributed to the fall of the Julio-Claudian dynasty. Vespasian formed the Flavian dynasty as the next emperor, following a bloody struggle for succession. During his rule from 69 to 79 CE, many changes were implemented. Even though he didn't acquire much additional land, he fortified the empire's borders, expanded the Senate with experienced administrators, restructured the army, and made it more professional and obedient. Vespasian was succeeded by his son Titus, who ruled briefly from 79 to 81 CE. Titus was popular, but his reign was cut short. The final Flavian emperor was Domitian, who reigned from 81 to 96 CE. Domitian's rule started with ambitious building projects and elaborate games, but descended into a reign of terror in his later years. His assassination marked the end of the Flavian dynasty, and like the Julio-Claudians before them, the last emperor's memory was officially condemned. Following the dramatic collapse of Domitian, a seasoned and esteemed senator named Marcus Coccius Nerva assumed power, albeit his rule was short-lived, lasting from 96 to 98 CE. What came next was a golden age ruled by the men known to history as the Five Good Emperors: Trajan, Hadrian, Marcus Aurelius, and Antoninus Pius. These emperors, who ruled from 98 to 180 CE, were chosen for their ability rather than their ancestry, and they brought about an era of peace, prosperity, and empire growth. In spite of all the benefits of centralization, the empire suffered during this period of amazing expansion and stability. As long as the emperor was capable, power grew to be heavily concentrated in his or her hands. But from 180 to 192 CE, the empire started to collapse under the leadership of a young, incompetent, and avaricious man named Commodus. During his rule, the once golden age began to tarnish under mishandled leadership, signaling the start of a steady downfall. The century that followed Rome's golden age was a rough one, marked by chaos and poor leadership. When Septimius Severus, a powerful commander from the Danube army, took control in 193 CE, he transformed Rome into what was essentially a military monarchy. The empire struggled under the constant threat of barbarian invasions, internal power struggles, and political chaos. This instability led to a drain on resources, with lives lost and finances stretched thin. The economy suffered from disrupted trade, oppressive taxes, rampant inflation, and extortion by troops stationed throughout the empire, causing widespread hardship. A turning point came with the rise of Diocletian in 284 CE. He implemented sweeping reforms that restored some stability and unity to the empire. Perhaps his most significant change was the introduction of the Tetrarchy, a system that divided power among four rulers: Diocletian himself, Maximian, who was elevated to Augustus or Emperor in 286 CE, and two Caesars, Constantius and Galerius, appointed in 293 CE. This new structure helped stabilize the empire for a while, curbing usurpations and ensuring a more orderly succession of power. The Tetrarchy, which was supposed to bring order, ended up causing a lot of confusion. By 308, there were 7 people claiming the title of Augustus. One of them was Constantine, the eldest son of Constantius, who had been overlooked for formal succession. But Constantine wasn't one to sit back and accept his fate. As a top military leader, he used his power to systematically take out his rivals in the West. By 312, he had become the undisputed emperor of the Western Roman Empire, and after defeating his co-emperor in the East, he became the sole ruler of the entire empire by 324. The Roman Empire saw a radical transformation under Constantine's rule. Christians were frequently persecuted before his time, but all changed with the Edict of Milan in 313 that established religious freedom throughout the empire. Once persecuted, Christianity now had official endorsement and support. As some of us already know, before this shift, religion in the Roman Empire was predominantly polytheistic and closely tied to local customs. It wasn't about personal faith or individual spirituality, but rather about the well-being of the city as a whole. This civic religion revolved around rituals, with politics and religion deeply intertwined. Public officials often led these rituals, and respect for ancestral traditions played a significant role. Participation in public religious ceremonies was expected from all members of society, reinforcing the connection between religion, community, and the state. By the year 380, Christianity, a minor sect that had its beginnings close to the Roman Empire's edge, had spread to become the state religion of that empire. As Christianity spread through the Roman Empire, it brought about a shift in how society viewed the poor and vulnerable. Unlike traditional Roman ideology, which often overlooked the needy, Christianization led to greater concern for those less fortunate. Emperors began funding hospitals and orphanages, and under Justinian laws were passed that showed an unprecedented level of care for women, children, and the disabled. This made Roman society more socially cohesive, but also more exclusive and, at times, persecutory. Meanwhile, Constantine also made a bold move by shifting the imperial capital from Rome to Byzantium, which he renamed Constantinople. This relocation brought strategic and economic advantages that helped breathe new life into the empire for a while. However, despite these efforts, Constantine couldn't stop the empire's decline. the last emperor of his dynasty, Theodosius I, was the last to rule over a united Roman Empire. After his death in 395, the empire split into the Eastern and Western empires. The Western Empire, weakened by constant invasions and the flight of peasants to the cities, struggled in comparison to the wealthier, more stable Eastern Empire, which thrived on trade in spices and other goods. The Western Roman Empire faced a massive blow in 410 when Rome was sacked by the Visigoths, a wandering tribe of Germanic people from the northeast. This shocking event was a sign of things to come. The final chapter of the Western Empire came in 476, when a Germanic chieftain named Odoacer deposed the last Roman emperor, a young ruler named Romulus Augustulus. With that, the Western Empire crumbled, but the eastern part of the empire, which was always wealthier and stronger, carried on as the Byzantine Empire throughout the Middle Ages, keeping the spirit of Rome alive in a new form. However, following the fall of the Western Roman Empire, Europe descended into what is commonly known as the Dark Ages. This era saw a severe breakdown in power. The once mighty and centralized Roman authority disintegrated into numerous smaller Germanic kingdoms and local warlords, resulting in a fragmented, feudal world. Rome's cultural and economic vibrancy waned as cities shrank, trade declined, and literacy rates fell. Even Rome's sophisticated infrastructure, such as its famous roads and aqueducts, fell into ruin. While the West struggled, the Eastern Roman Empire, or Byzantine Empire, thrived. The Byzantines, with their capital in Constantinople, preserved Roman law and rule, while also serving as a focus for Christian scholarship and culture. The significance of Christianity in the decline of the Roman Empire is a fascinating and complex topic. It is not as simple as blaming religion for the empire's demise, but Christianity had an impact on the socio-political scene of the time. For one, as Christianity spread, traditional Roman polytheism began to fade. This shift in religious focus is seen by some as a factor that weakened the social cohesion once held together by shared religious rituals and beliefs. When Emperor Constantine embraced Christianity in the early 4th century, it marked a significant turning point. However, this transition wasn't smooth. Christians themselves were divided over theological issues, which sometimes spilled over into political conflicts, further destabilizing the empire. Some critics, like historian Edward Gibbon, suggested that Christianity shifted people's focus from civic duties to spiritual concerns, leading to a decline in public service and military participation. This, they argue, may have made the empire less capable of defending itself against barbarian invasions. Additionally, the rise of Christianity created tensions with the old pagan traditions, fostering societal divisions that further fragmented the empire. In the end, while the Western Roman Empire crumbled, its legacy, especially through the Byzantine Empire, continued to shape Europe for centuries to come, leaving an enduring mark on history.